Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Boy GhostGG. Today, we're checking out some Death Stranding 2 gameplay from both IGN and Game Informer. I decided to react to both of these at the same time because they're both under 10 minutes long, and also both under 9 minutes long, actually, and also to get like two different perspectives into one video, one from IGN and one from Game Informer, and we'll see how different the perspectives are, and we'll kind of just see what they're seeing. You know, they got to play it for like 30 hours. I don't know how long they played it for, but yeah, we'll see what they think about it. Into it. I'm excited for this one. I really like the first game.
Nearly 6 years after the release of director Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding, we've finally played the sequel, Death Stranding 2, on the beach. While what we've played was not the final version of the game, the playable portions demonstrated a density and completeness you would expect from a final product. Fundamental elements such as movement, dialogue, and presentation are highly integrated, and the intention to expand upon the experience that the first game delivered, no pun intended, was evident throughout. 2019's Death Stranding transcended the framework of ordinary video games by metaphorically depicting cosmology and even anthropology through the act of delivery. It was a game that challenged the idea of human connection through refreshing gameplay mechanics that fundamentally re-examined the very act of movement. To me, Death Stranding was an undeniable masterpiece that delivered a viscous flow of concepts.
I thought it was a masterpiece as well, honestly.
For more than 30 hours, I'm starting to realize that it may have been only the beginning. Death Stranding 2 on the beach can be seen as an...
They gotta play 30 hours. That's a lot of gameplay. That's a lot of time to play a game. And in all fairness, they could have done some story, a lot of side stuff, who knows, right? But some games are only 30 hours long. Ooh, it's gonna be a long one, isn't it?
The first game to the next level, while taking the player on a journey across the border of the United States of America. Its symbolic depiction of connection feels more dynamic, yet less certain than its predecessor. What questions will this new journey of legendary delivery man Sam Porter Bridges bring, and how will they be answered? In the first game, Sam reconstructed connections between people while uncovering the truth behind Death Stranding, a mysterious phenomenon that caused disconnection between cities. Through Sam's journey of delivering supplies, players experienced movement in a way video games had not offered before.
Yes.
While the story gradually unfolded its views
movement
on
was very interesting. Is this my video, or is this their capture of the 2019 one?
2 moves from the rebuilt UCA to the Mexican border region. The photorealistic graphics that meticulously depict Mexico's desolate land are nothing short of impressive. From the texture of the dried surface to faintly rippling sand dust and rocky mountains in the distance, the game's visuals drew me in right away. Photorealistic modelling and subtle facial expressions of characters have also largely improved from the first game, and the art style creates an aesthetic that transcends mere realism, forming a powerful foundation supporting the game's surrealistic worldview and story. The part that plays in Mexico functions more or less like a tutorial, not just in terms of gameplay but also story and settings. While the first game overwhelmed players with numerous terms and settings in its early hours, Death Stranding 2 is conscious of being accessible even without prior knowledge. The game also offers a recap mode in novel style, as well as a glossary function called Corpus, showing careful consideration for players who have not played the first game, or those who did but found it too complicated.
Fair. It is a complicated story, I'll say that. I had to watch videos on to truly understand it.
Series gameplay consists of infiltration, danger, and stealth.
Shout out the Lady of Lore if you guys check out that YouTube channel. She does recaps of games. Why does this capture so disgusting? Oh my god.
3 different colors. Death Stranding 2 follows the same rules. Just like in the original Death Stranding, once again, the player has to manage cargo weight and balance while traversing unstable natural terrain. Footing must be secured on slopes while the center of gravity must be controlled to avoid being swept away in rapid water streams. The risk of cargo damage is present throughout the process, which makes traversing the world itself a nerve-wracking task. Constructions such as ropes and ladders can be used to traverse the world more conveniently. These infrastructures go beyond individual player experiences, as structures installed by other players are shared in the world by the social strands system.
I love that system in the game. I always thought it was so cool. Just building a bridge and someone else finishes it for you or that adds material to it. It just felt the level of connectivity between people, you know? They did it very well.
In addition to highways, Death Stranding 2 allows the player to construct monorails too, which
Yay.
makes traversing its world a lot smoother.
Monorails.
Highways and monorails require a lot of materials, forcing the player to utilize the game's mines to gather them. As a result, establishing trade routes has become more central to gameplay than it was in the first game.
Oh, look at that.
While traversing the world itself has become more convenient, environments have become more challenging in return. The width of rivers can double due to rainfall, and natural hazards such as earthquakes and sandstorms can occur. As a new feature, the time of day also changes in real time, which causes additional challenges for Sam. These natural elements interfere with player actions in various ways, such as footing collapsing due to flooding and earthquakes, or visibility worsening in sandstorms and nightfall. The sequel also boasts more room for customization. The Porter grade indicates Sam's current proficiency in a more direct way, while skill points can be used to enhance stats and obtain new abilities. You can specialize in either delivery, movement, or combat skills. This shows that once again, Kojima is utilizing 3 layers of gameplay in which the player can tackle the game's missions and obstacles.
Oh, I thought we were shooting a turret. It's him. He's on top of it.
While delivery, movement, and combat skills can all be customized, combat plays a greater role in Death Stranding.
Yeah, there's a lot more of a combat game.
Combat was limited and functioned merely as a way to secure supplies or to make your way through bases.
Yeah.
Death Stranding Director's Cut already added infiltration missions into mule bases, but Death Stranding 2 builds more varied stages and systemized combat in the open world, seemingly as an extension of that. New
Mazer handgun.
Forces such as bandits and armed survivalists appear, and their bases are designed as stages with simple 3-dimensional structures. BTs, or creatures that appear due to the Death Stranding phenomenon, also have new types. Larger BTs with stronger attacks make the combat more challenging than it was in the first game.
Oh no. Get off me!
Combat has become more tactical as well. By throwing a speaking doll, called Dollman, you can observe the insides of bases from above to grasp enemy placement and movement lines.
What?
While close combat remains important, remote stealth attacks with the blood boomerang, precision shooting with sniper rifles, and utilizing assault rifles and grenade launchers give the player a multitude of new options. It's
got
even
snipers
possible
now
to
too.
put down Sam's backpack, allowing for more agile and nimble movement by completely separating him from his cargo.
Oh wow, we can take off the backpack.
To mobility, which greatly enhances tactical flexibility.
Oh wow, that's smart. That's cool. They really added a lot more into this game.
Whether to engage in direct combat, choose stealth, or avoid combat altogether, freedom of approach has increased when compared to the first game. You can even refund your used skill points, welcoming trial and error to find the playstyle that suits you best.
Nice. I want to see the skill trees. What are they? I want to see what it looks like.
As partially revealed,
I don't know if they're allowed to show it or not.
After a series of dramatic events, Sam will cooperate with Drawbridge, a civilian company established by Fragile. As the setting moves from Mexico to Australia, a new journey begins.
Oh!
A mobile base called DHV Magellan, named after the explorer Ferdinand Magellan who travelled around the world, functions as a hub for the player. As the name DHV Magellan suggests, the story steps into themes reminiscent of colonial domination.
Oh.
Furthermore, the rise of a private political organization called APAC shows similarities with the PMC depicted in Metal Gear Solid 4. Since I haven't witnessed the story to its conclusion, it is too early to speculate on how these motifs will come to fruition.
So you go from New Mexico to Australia.
Damn. In Death Stranding, people were isolated.
Or Mexico to Australia, sorry, not New Mexico.
The dangerous outside world, which many noted seemed to foresee the COVID-19 pandemic. In Death Stranding 2, the APAC seems to resonate with recent movements of America's Doge. With such eerie points of convergence with reality, I can't help but feel that there is a significance worth noting in contemporary times regarding how connections will be redefined in Death Stranding 2.
Damn. They infiltrated the government.
Of particular note is the presence of actor Luca Marinelli, who plays a mysterious man. Both Marinelli's acting ability and the presentation of scenes he appears in leave a strong impression. The mystery of who this man is and why he stands in Sam's way will have players speculating for sure.
This always makes him look like Snake.
His character are just as captivating as Mads Mikkelsen's Cliff was in the first game. One concern I had during my 30 hours with the game was that I realized that the trailers contain content that delves quite deeply into the main story, to the extent that a lot of what happened throughout the game I was already somewhat aware of. Could it be that too much has been given away in the trailers? Or is there a big surprise awaiting players when Death Stranding 2's full picture is revealed? We can only eagerly await the game's June 26th release.
This game also comes out next month, guys. Fucking hell.
For more on Death Stranding 2 and everything else to do with games, keep it right here on IGN.
I can't believe this comes out next month. Alright, before we get into the next one. So, big improvements from the first game. The environments look even better somehow. They look so beautiful, so gorgeous. Those natural disasters. When I saw those rocks sliding down, we had like a rock slide earthquake type of thing going on. that looked nuts. Blizzards or sandstorms. It wasn't snowy, so it's not a blizzard. But sandstorms, stuff like that. Day cycle actually goes around. There was no day cycle in the first one, was there? I don't remember. I can't remember playing at night in that game. Yeah, I really don't remember. But it looks like we have actual day cycles going through in these missions and whatnot. Like we're out in the open world. It will become dark. It will become light again. Like it looks nuts. Combat is a lot more emphasized in this game, especially gun combat. It looks like we got a big array of weapons coming in. We still have like our pistol. No, we didn't have a pistol in the first game, did we? We had like different we had like a BT handgun. We have a Maser handgun, which looks like a laser, or not laser. Sorry, like a taser. We have assault rifles coming back. Shotguns are coming back. We have sniper rifles, which are new. We can use some distance between us and the enemy. We can offload our backpack to make ourselves more agile and I guess stealthy. To take down a base by stealth, that'd be great. I love that. We have our hand-to-hand combat. We have our rope to do takedowns. We have a bunch of stuff going on in the combats part of this game. A lot more than the first game, and I'm excited for that. I think a lot of people were very much off-put by the game by the fact that there was a lot of walking and not a lot of combat. The only time we really got into combat was securing cargo or getting away from BTs or whatnot, or like when it was story mission, when we needed to use guns in some sort of story mission kind of capacity. There wasn't really a use for guns outside of that, unless you wanted to go and pick a fight with a bunch of mules or something, right? But the game also didn't really give you too much to do that as well. This game looks like it's like, yeah, we're going to give you weapons. Go get you some mules, you know? Go kill yourself some mules. But let's go to the next one from Game Informer. Let's see what they have said.
With the first Death Stranding. Prior to its launch in 2019, I was enamored with the world and, as a Metal Gear fan, couldn't wait to absorb a new Hideo Kojima story.
I'll say this as well.
Every trailer looked bananas.
When Death Stranding was coming out, I'm like, this game looks very interesting. It looks cool. It's Hideo Kojima, Metal Gear Solid, all that shit. I want to play it. And then the more and more I saw of it and I started seeing reviews of it, I was like, oh, it's a walking simulator. I'm like, I don't understand this game. Do I really want to buy it? Especially games are expensive, right? Do I really want to buy it? Am I really going to play it? I don't know. So I decided not to buy it. And then I accidentally pre-ordered it without knowing I pre-ordered it on the PlayStation. I think my controller was connected to both my PlayStation and my PC at the same time, and I ended up pre-ordering this game, the first one, and it downloaded. So I couldn't refund it because PlayStation doesn't allow refunds for any games, especially games that you've downloaded already, not even played. You could have not played it a tiny little bit, but if preloading has started and it started downloading, you can no longer return the game. So I'm like, oh fuck, I'm stuck with this game. I may as well play it, and I loved it. I don't know what I was getting into really, and I ended up loving it. People can call it a walking simulator all you want, and there's a lot of walking. Don't get me wrong here. There is a lot of walking, but as soon as you get a flow for it, you start getting the bikes, the vehicles, and whatnot, and it starts becoming a process. And it's like, damn, this is a really good game with very good graphics, with a very twisty, weird ass story, but it's Hideo Kojima story, so it's like cool as fuck. So yeah. That's my relationship with the first game.
You're actually just
when it first came out, I ended up replaying it for the channel.
What the moment gameplay would entail.
But I already loved the game by then. So
just a multi-million-dollar mailman simulator? It didn't seem terribly exciting. My tune changed when I wrapped up Chapter 3 of the game. I loved hiking across the Icelandic version of the US and playing backpack Tetris to efficiently lug boxes to quirky survivors. I felt a real sense of reward in community building roads, bridges, and repairing infrastructure for other players. Conversely though, the combat felt tedious, slow, and ill-suited to the core experience. I avoided fights whenever possible and loathed the titanic boss encounters. Death Stranding's baffling plot somehow made Metal Gear's mythos perfectly comprehensible by comparison, and not in a good way. The final act in particular left a sour taste in my mouth. Despite my complaints, I was happy I saw Death Stranding through to the end because while deeply flawed in some areas, there's nothing else quite like it. Most of all, the foundation was strong enough that a sequel,
LMG down there, buddy,
could be even more special. I'm happy to say that, so far, Death Stranding 2 on the beach is fulfilling that potential. I spent 4 days at Kojima Productions in Tokyo playing 25 hours of the follow-up. roughly 40% of the entire experience, according to director Hideo Kojima himself. I walked away thinking one thing: Death Stranding 2 is a very according to director Hideo.
Let's go back here.
I spent 4 days at Kojima Productions in Tokyo playing 25 hours of the follow-up, roughly 40% of the entire experience.
So 25 hours is 40%, roughly 40% of the entire experience. That means 50 hours would be 80%, and that last 20% would be 20% of 25 hours, which is something or other. It's about a 60-hour game, right? I think that's what we're going at.
According to director Hideo Kojima himself, I walked away thinking one thing: Death Stranding 2 is a very fun game that amplifies the original strengths while vastly remedying its weaknesses. Death Stranding 2 is staggeringly beautiful. Leveraging Decima, the engine Guerrilla Games created to power its Horizon series, everything from the gorgeous lighting to the immaculately detailed terrain and foliage.
No wonder it looks so beautiful. The Horizon games are ridiculously beautiful.
Games I've seen this console generation. As fantastic as playing the fidelity-focused quality mode looks, I highly recommend switching to
I didn't realize those were both the same engines.
The game looks and plays fantastically when running at a smooth 60 frames per second, and it's worth taking the relatively small graphical hit, as frequent grass pop-in is the only major drawback I've noticed.
Oh, okay.
Everything still looks gorgeous either way, and it's worth noting I played the game on a base PS5.
Okay.
I'll refrain from discussing major plot beats in these impressions. I'll only say that I've seen a lot of what has been shown in the trailers. Believe me when I say that Death Stranding 2 is a wild game, even more so with context. The story takes place 11 months after the end of Death Stranding. Protagonist Sam Bridges succeeds in connecting.
Wait, so how many months? Sorry, I don't know how I miss these important details. They just
more so with context. The story takes place 11 months after the end of Death Stranding. Protagonist Sam Bridges succeeds in connecting the United States, reborn again as the United Cities of America, or UCA, and abruptly abandons the government under seemingly bad terms, taking his now former BB, Lou, with him. He hasn't been seen or heard from since. That is, until Sam's ally, Fragile, tracks him down to propose a new mission: work his porter magic again to reconnect other parts of the world, including Mexico and Australia, which I visited during my demo.
Cool.
Sam's former Bridges allies, such as Die Hardman, who's now the president, Deadman, and
25 hours, 40% of the game. He visited Mexico and Australia in those 25 hours. Does that mean we're going to be going to other countries? Because Mexico, that's still North America, but Australia is obviously Australia. Will we end up in Africa, Europe, Asia? We don't know. I don't think we're going to Antarctica. I don't think there's anything there, but that would be interesting because Mexico is the last. I mean, Canada. I guess we could go up to Canada. You never know. Mexico is a part of North America. We did the United Cities of America, right, for the UCA for the United States of America, and now we're doing Mexico, and then we end up with Australia and New Zealand, right? They're together as a continent. I'm wondering if we end up in a different continent.
Heartman have gone their separate ways. Fragile now leads Drawbridge, a new organization consisting of members
country
such
at
as
some point?
Dollman,
I feel like I said country by accident. I meant continent.
Rainy and Tomorrow. The plot is much easier to follow from the beginning since it has an established foundation to build upon. We now understand how the world and its people operate. However, the biggest reason for this newfound clarity is the newly added Corpus, an interactive encyclopedia in the vein of Final Fantasy XVI's active time lore. Notable key terms appear in the upper right-hand corner during cutscenes, and hitting the options button pauses the scene and displays relevant lore.
Oh.
Corpus also contains a glossary, character profiles, and an evolving synopsis of
Get away from
events
me.
called The Story So Far that provides a straightforward recap of each narrative moment. Corpus did wonders in keeping me on track for 24 hours in Death Stranding 2, and it's one of several smart new features. Another welcome change is the scenery. The first Death Stranding was a pretty, but visually monotonous adventure due to the largely unchanging Icelandic-inspired landscapes. The sequel immediately remedies this sameness by making the adventure a globe-trotting affair. I can only speak for Mexico and Australia, but the new locations provide a welcome variety. Death Stranding 2 begins with Sam trekking across the desert's arid, rocky cliffs.
That's 25 hours.
The adventure soon introduces lush forests. New dynamic weather events bolster these impressive biomes. I trudged through violent sandstorms and dodged raining fireballs that ignited a raging bushfire.
Oh my god.
These occurrences add another layer of challenge to delivering packages safely. Reconnecting scattered survivors to the chiral network remains a thoughtful and engaging balancing act of efficiently stacking boxes on Sam's backpack and hauling them for miles. Another example of how Death Stranding 2 puts its best foot forward is players gaining access to the motorcycle-like tri-cruiser within the first couple of hours.
That's nice.
It took ages before you could fabricate vehicles in the original, so
Yeah.
I love how quickly the sequel puts you behind the wheel to expedite traversal. You'll still build bridges, roads, and other infrastructure for you and a community of players to use and maintain. If you loved contributing to Death Stranding's landscape, the ability to build entire monorail systems to transport materials from mines introduces a deeper layer of complexity for more industrious players. With Kojima Productions introducing monorails and mines relatively early, I can only imagine what other types of factory-like mechanics are in store. Death Stranding 2's most pleasant surprise is its much improved combat. Creative new weapons help to improve gunplay, and a freeform approach to encounters reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain's best elements.
Ooh.
The freedom to tackle enemy bases as you see fit, whether stealthily or guns blazing, and the ability to transition between approaches mid-encounter is great. An arsenal of new, inventive weaponry is a joy to experiment with, including items that produce decoy holograms and even a BT damaging boomerang. I actually looked forward to conflicts rather than avoiding them as I did in the original.
I
The
love
boss
that.
battles I tackled were visual spectacles and
Ooh,
entertaining gunfights against well-designed adversaries. For those who wanted more exciting action in Death Stranding, this sequel seemingly has you covered. Perhaps best of all, Kojima's trademark weirdness is everywhere. Whether it's surprising and hilarious interactions with Dollman, the funny ways that you can take out enemies, and the myriad of cheeky and overt Metal Gear references, Death Stranding 2 doesn't take itself too seriously. Even Higgs, whom I thought was the worst and most insufferable character in Death Stranding, is more entertaining now since Kojima just turned him into a cartoonish, guitar-playing samurai clown.
Nice.
I clocked 26 hours after
I thought
4
it was
days
good in
of
the first
playing and
game.
was sad to put Death Stranding 2 down. Where I was hot and cold on its predecessor, I'm all in on the sequel, and I'm impressed with how closely Kojima Productions seems to have listened to feedback. Despite offering me a substantial preview, I still missed plenty of content, including optional side missions, cool weapons and gadgets, and potentially significant plot points. For example, players can miss an action-packed and seemingly vital cinematic if they choose not to trek through a particular area during a delivery.
Really?
After seeing it myself, I spoke to other journalists who missed it because they chose to bypass that area where the scene occurs. Knowing this, I wonder if there's other moments I unknowingly missed due to how I approach exploration.
Oh.
That's a bold choice,
Yeah.
but off-the-wall ideas like that make Kojima games so fascinating, and Death
yeah.
Stranding 2 seems chock full of secrets big and small. Kojima focused on telling a weird story and creating a bizarre experience around it in Death Stranding, which was only somewhat enjoyable. However, the sequel seems more purposeful in delivering a well-crafted and consistently entertaining experience. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach has the makings of a perfect sequel, one that iterates and improves upon its predecessor in every way.
Game Informer, thank you for that review. I love that. That just makes me excited for the game. That's two reviews we watched there back to back, and both of them seem to very much like the game. And they say it's just an improvement from the first. Straight up, just a blank, straight up improvement. And I love that. I love the first game. I loved it. It was fun. I enjoyed it very much. And the second one just looks like it's better in every way possible. And yeah, we got some new information there as well. We got 11 months after the first game. He's no longer working for the government. He's working for Fragile directly, reconnecting Mexico and then ending up in Australia, reconnecting Australia. And who knows where we go from there, because that's only 25 hours in. So I'm expecting another continent. I'm not expecting the entire continent. Maybe only parts of Africa, or maybe like the northern part of Africa, or northern part of Africa and like the southern part of Europe, like that connect. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just spewing nonsense. I have no idea. We'll have to see in a month's time, a month and a few days, or 2 weeks. I don't know. It comes out the 26th, right? Yeah. That would be a month and 2 weeks. It looks like. Oh no, sorry, way off there. Yeah. It's about it's actually a month and 2 weeks. Yeah, that's what we're saying. But yeah, that's gonna be then. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. If you guys do want to check out my let's play of the first game, go head over to GhostGG Plays, link down in the description. I played the entire game from front to back, from beginning to end, and I loved it once again from the original time I played it when it first came out. And yeah, go check that out before this game comes out. Peace out. There's a lot of outs.